stream again here, so I can just see if there's any questions.
And welcome to Coinversations episode number 3. Joined, of course, today is John Hammer. Introduce yourself, John.
Hi, I'm John Hammer, and this is Landon, the famous Landon.
I've made it. Thank you so much for everyone joining. Obviously, we have about an hour to talk about numismatics, what's going on in South African numismatics. And I think this was quite a big week. Of course, last Sunday we had the signature auction on Basanis, which was quite impressive to see an AU50 Sammy Marks Tikkie going for well in the 200,000s. We saw a burger spot. Slightly disappointed about that one, I think you said to me.
Yeah, a burger spot. Look, we discussed last week's signature and how fantastic display it had of numismatic items, in that you had everything on there. You had the Afrikaans 1 cent, you had the 1959 5 shilling, you had the long proof sets, you had everything a collector would want. But yes, I was disappointed with the burger spot and with the Veldpond, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that Veldpond was very cheap, and that's what it's always about. I mean, if you have an auction on the night, some items might go really expensive, some might go low. Tonight, even on the weekend wonder, we have some big items, and it really is what the market wants. We might think that a coin is worth 200,000 because that's the value traditionally, but if no one wants to pay 200,000, that's not the value anymore. So it has to change. Talking about the Coin Club, John, you want to start talking about your Coin Club pack? I mean, you're very excited. I should have brought mine.
Yes.
I'm so jealous now.
Yeah, so the Coin Club welcome pack. I received mine, Landon's received his. It's not with him at the moment, but I've actually taken a couple of items out. But what an awesome welcome pack this is. I'm just going to quickly take this out.
And I think it's over almost like 500 members now, people that are receiving this welcome packs. I think they're in the 300s already that have received it. What is in this pack? Talk about it.
Right, so firstly, you still have a chance to get this pack. And if you want to get this pack, go to coinclub.co.za and sign up. Only the first 500 members will be receiving the welcome pack. It actually comes very nicer. The big thing that's really cool in the welcome pack is the coin you will get graded with your pedigree, with your name. So I've got obviously the Hammer collection.
The Hammer collection.
The Hammer collection.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. AU58.
It's so cool, even that the Coin Club logo is on the
it's really cool. It's right there. Very cool thing that I actually like. I'm actually gonna, if I'm gonna fly again or something, I don't know where I can use this. It does look like a bank card, doesn't it?
It looks a bit official.
It looks very official.
You can try and tap. I don't think it will work.
No, but it's the South African Coin Collectors Club members card. I obviously am a founding member, number 14. I'm your number.
So I mean, I don't want you to feel bad about it, John. I mean, I am number 5.
Yeah, special. But so the packs come in an array with various items. So some of the packs come with graded notes. I of course received this beautiful uncirculated set with a missing 5 rand. That is your opportunity to go and fill the set. And obviously, really cool thing is you get a couple of vouchers from a couple of the dealers.
And I was adding this up. You know how much money you're saving here?
Yeah.
Firstly, obviously, I see the Numisma product, the MS Plus is not here. There's a quite very cool instruction that explains how to use the product. There was actually a discussion on the group today about it. I saw Jan Kleinans also yesterday talking about it. He is obviously the big professional of this, and he obviously explains how to exactly do this. But look how cool this is. I mean,
so you get a 200 rand discount on a 1,000 rand order from investment coin and bullion. This is pretty cool. From Sanks, you get 2 coins graded for free at Sanks.
Yeah, if you submit 5 coins, you get 2 for free. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, huh? And talking about Sanks, they've got some cool things going on at the moment, don't
I saw, if you guys want to test your grading and you think that you might be one of the best graders in South Africa, there is a grading competition by Sanks where I think there's 3 coins. Yes. And if you can guess the grade correctly for all of those coins, you win it. So they're very confident that probably no one's going to be able to do it. And hopefully we do get one person. I wonder what they're going to do. Imagine 10 people get it correct. You think they're going to give...
no. But you know what? Have you looked at that grading competition?
I have looked at the coins. I've got my suspicion of the grades, but I'm not to be nice to everyone. I'm not going to enter. I don't want to win.
Well, I entered.
Did you enter?
No, I entered. Yes, I went for it. But I must say that second coin, I was like one of those. I don't know what you can. Yeah. So go check out. It's on their website. I believe it's on the website.
Yeah, you guys can see it there. There were links on the Coin Club, obviously sent on the main chat. And it should be on the announcement section. I think if you go back, you'll see the link there. Yes. The big one I think that is difficult there is that crown.
That crown.
Yeah.
It's definitely the
who knows? Is it business strike? Is it PL? Who knows? We've got a penny there, which makes it complicated for BN or RB. There's a lot of things like that people have to consider, obviously, when doing that. But yeah, check that out.
I think it's also cool where everyone has so many comments of the grades. So now go do the grading yourself. Let's see how close you get.
And I mean, someone might have already gotten it right. I don't know. We'll see when the results come out.
We don't know. But you also get one more voucher, and it's from Bucks and Gems. Free shipping on an online order of 500 more, and of course us.
10%. That's a lot. Imagine you give us a Burger Spond or a Sammy Marks for auction. I mean, 10% of a Sammy Marks coin is could be 20,000. So,
and then this is the cool thing, I must say. I like this. So it's a certificate of membership you get from the South African Coin Collectors Club. It's signed by your friend and fellow collector, Thomas van der Spey. Really special. I'm going to frame this, and a letter from him. And then obviously the Coin Collector magazine. What a special occasion this was at the Johannesburg. At the Johannesburg.
Probably one of the coolest things in numismatics in recent times. Seeing this magazine.
It has been, and it took great effort, and it's really, I think everyone can be proud of it. A lot of people contributed to this. So yes, you're not too late yet. Go join the South African Coin Collectors Club if you want to receive your welcome pack.
Yeah, we see a few people watching. Thanks for everyone commenting, and obviously if you do have any questions, we can look at the comments and can help you guys obviously to answer some of it. I also do want to talk about a release obviously at the Gauteng Numismatic Society meeting a few weeks ago at Gold Reef City Mint. They had a very cool G&S medallion that was released. And also the release of the Burgers Staatsponder, which is a book by Francois Milan. They only made 100 copies of these. So very honored actually that he even signed this copy. How cool is that? This is a proper good book. It's, I mean, literally everything about the Burgers Bond is in here, and you'll understand why we're saying that Burgers Bond from that signature auction was a little bit cheap, and very, very cool. And they made 100 copies, and I think Randburg Coin, they got about quite a few of them that they are selling at the moment if you guys are interested and you want to read this. But the first coinage of South Africa, this is proper, and I think Francois Milan has obviously done a lot for South African numismatics, and he's quite an incredible person. So yeah, maybe get one of these copies.
And what I loved, I've actually gone through that book briefly, and it's really been fantastically compiled. And I always argue that the literature, the books that come with the coins are just as important, because if you don't understand why the Veldbond is so scarce, or the Burgersbond in this occasion, you actually don't get that numismatic side. It's just what the numismatics actually comes from, is their history, and is what Prof. Francois Milan has done, capturing every detail of the Burgersbond. And we actually had a fine specimen in the office last week.
Him or the...
No, of the
coin.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he was in the office last week. Yeah?
Oh, I missed him.
He was such a great guy. So I thought you were making a joke there. Obviously the Burgersbond, we did have one, and it was quite a mint state Burgersbond, and it was a coarse beard. A mint state coarse beard. When do you see that coin? That's wow. That's why, I mean, I think we're quite honoured to be able to see. I mean, Veldbonds, Burgersbonds, fine beard, coarse beard, Sammy Marks Tiki we've seen now. I mean, there's so many coins that a lot of people probably dream about, and obviously, like I said, we're very honoured to work in this hobby.
And it was kind of caught me off guard, because obviously we're working and we're getting things done, and all of a sudden this coin gets handed to you, and it's like, it's one of the big five. It's one of the big five coins in South African numismatics. Talking of big five, there's been a discussion on the group regarding the top 10
Yeah,
coins
I
in
saw
South Africa.
Shabir, obviously from Bucks and Gems, talking about the full ground cover, and for him, he thinks maybe that is a top 10 coin. And we do have a link that was sent by Thomas also on the group, talking about what he thinks are the top 10 or some big. He didn't say the biggest 10 coins, but some big coins that every collector should know about.
Yes.
So there's a difference with how you look at it. I mean, obviously on that list we do have an Afrikaans 1 cent from 1965, so I would argue that the full ground probably is a bigger coin than that. But yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it also depends on what you like. If you're into the history, then obviously the ZAR Big Five are going to be the coins that you want in that top 10. If you're into Union, then obviously the 1931 Tikkie, even a 1931 sixpence or shilling in Mint State, in business strike is quite special. And people spoke about the 26 quarter penny. It's tough. It's tough if you had to really put it to 10, and maybe that's something we can do as a group to try and do like a vote or a consensus to get that top 10. I think that would be quite cool.
I think the most famous one, I can be horribly wrong here, if you talk to any person on the corner, if we just talk about coins, I do think it has to be the 1931 Tikkie.
It's got to be. It's definitely in the top 10. I've got no doubt.
Like anyone can, they always know about this one elusive Tikkie out there. They might not know what a burgersbond is or a veldbond or the single 9, but everyone has kind of heard of the 31 Tikkie.
Yeah, the single 9, that's got to be in the top 10.
No, I actually feel it's a different category. I don't think it should be included in that. I think it just reigns supreme, and then you have the list. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, it's like that one now. It's like number 1 and then go from there.
Yeah,
I mean, how do you compare the rarity?
No, you can't.
Also, Joel on the group did raise a nice point with that one, talking about patterns. There are many patterns that have mintages of like 5.
Yes.
There's a few coins that have never been graded in Mint State as an example. So where do you rate those coins? It's difficult, because I mean, a pattern of 5, how do you compare it to a veldbond that has a mintage of 986? Like you'd say, the pattern's way more rare, but the veldbond's way more expensive. So, and it's got the history and the story. There's lots of stuff to think about.
And actually, isn't there a couple of patterns on this weekend wonder?
There are a few patterns, You like the Cape of Good Hope? Actually,
on your first thought?
Yes, I saw that one. There's a ZAR penny on there. There's also ZAR coins tonight, taking the spotlight again though. 1892 half pond MS64. You saw that coin, John?
No, it looks proof, doesn't it? It's stunning. It's absolutely beautiful.
When you see these very high grade ZAR coins that we've sometimes had the privilege of seeing, and they're MS64, 65, they do almost look proof like. And I would say the reason for that is probably it was one of the first ones ever struck. It must have been very early on in that process. So insane coin on the weekend wonder tonight. Top 10, John. Maybe we should have a competition in the group and make the members in the group vote, and then whatever coins, like the top 10 votes, become like the top 10 coins or something.
Yeah, we can do that. But I think what the beauty of numismatics is that everyone has a preference. And for one person, this coin will be the ultimate, for the next, it will be that. Depending on your preference. But I do think that, we can actually bring patterns back to the limelight, because we were going through the descriptions for even the signature has got a couple of patterns out there. And you look at the mintage of estimated 100, and you think, like, this is actually really ridiculously scarce. And that the grades are also fantastic on those. So definitely something, I'm not that clued up when it comes to patterns in South Africa, so something to look at maybe.
Yeah, a lot of patterns. I mean, if you are after rarity, patterns probably are one of the best things to buy. I mean, we've had patterns with mintages of 5. On the last signature, there was a 50-cent pattern that sold for closer to 30,000 Rand that had a mintage of 50. So if you look at all these mintage figures, on that same auction, there was a half-cent pattern with also a mintage of 50, but it sold for like 10,000 Rand. So the mintage figure doesn't automatically determine the value, but the rarity is the same. So I do agree with John. I think a lot of patterns, very underrated coins. I think maybe sometimes the average collector doesn't really understand the patterns that well.
No, and they're beautiful. I must say, those Oranje Vrystaat and those are actually very beautiful. Yeah, definitely some stuff to look at on this week's Weekend Wonder at Basani's auction house.
Yeah, so we also, obviously Mother's Day today. John, did you?
Mother's Day.
Yeah, big day, eh? For a lot of, well, obviously very special for a lot of women in numismatics in South Africa. There actually are quite a lot of women that have played very big roles in numismatics, and I think still continuing until this day, which maybe sometimes people, people don't get the acknowledgement they deserve, or everything, in that perspective.
Yeah, so happy Mother's Day to everyone watching. You are loved and cherished. I'm actually thinking of back in Bloemfontein. It's one of the first Mother's Days. I'm not with my mother, so there's actually a beautiful woman, Tannie Mossi. We call her Tannie Mossi. And she would go around the schools in the Free State and share the story of the Anglo-Boer War.
Wow.
And she would share the story of the concentration camps, and with that, we're going to be doing that in the future, but with that she always gave each student a 1 cent and explained the significance of the Mossis on it, obviously referring to the Bible verse in Matthew. But I always think if there's someone in the numismatics that's a mother figure, Tannie Mossi, she's an unsung hero, but in Bloemfontein she impacted
She's a legend there, yeah.
She's a legend in the Central South Africa.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's such an incredible story. We did have that on the group again today. Obviously, Thomas shared it, and it's I know Heinz' verse for him also. That was quite an important thing, talking about it, and you have to talk about these stories, So where there's a Mother's Day, a Women's Day, things that come up over time, and we make that the spotlight, because ultimately, if we don't talk about these stories, we lose it, so it's one of the most beautiful stories, and heartbreaking story in some ways, but it is pretty nice that it's still there and people still like that woman there. That's quite incredible.
And what's beautiful, if in Bloemfontein, there's the Vrouw Monument, the Women's Monument, and actually one of the first displays when you walk in is the farthing with the two Mossis, but it's this beautiful big sized one, and then two birds actually coming out of it and explaining the whole story, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So you need to go there.
Yeah, it's really stunning. So we in South Africa and in numismatics we cherish the mothers.
And I went through it to try and figure out a list of women that have been on South African coins. Obviously the big one in circulation coin that comes to mind is Queen Elizabeth II. And obviously from 1953, I think that was the first year, so until 1960, obviously 61 we became a union. Also there's got to be a lot of medallions and stuff over the years too, but if we specifically just focus on coins, I would say she's the big one that's obviously featured on the most coins. There's also, do you know the woman of South Africa, R1? I'll show you this design. You've seen it before. It's just difficult to sometimes remember it. But this is for me one of the most beautiful coins. It's a woman of South Africa, R1 from 1997, and it was part of the R1 series. So
that is stunning.
Yeah, that is quite. And this coin actually won an award. It was an international award. I remember it the year after it for the best coin in the world for that. So around that time. Obviously this is still very early on, right? 1997. So to make a detailed coin like this back then, I think that's where the impression was. So very impressive. If you guys have any questions, and if you guys can think about any other coins also featuring women in South African history, or not necessarily a woman by name, but just obviously women also featured on it. Daniel Spies, do you know?
Maybe.
He's asked the question there. He says, graded coin value, which one is the rarest between an MS65, it's a big grade, 46 half gram, or a PF 65, 46 half gram? Now I would argue, I would rather have the mint state, but you love your proofs, John.
No, I love proofs, but I've got to be with you there. Mint state, 2.5 shillings, very difficult to come by, especially in that type of grade. MS65, you're going to be paying a lot of money. Yeah. And I recently made a post about it, the comparison between proof and mint state coins, and that sometimes your proof coins are the one that gets the more attention, and sometimes it's the mint state coins that do. I think one of the ones that is kind of misunderstood is the 1959 5 shilling.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about it. If you had a choice between a 1959 mint state crown and a 1959 proof crown, if you don't take the mint state crown, you made a mistake. And I think that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, this coin, we could look at, I think a 46 2.5 shilling in proof. I think they got a mintage of 150 if I'm not mistaken. So at that mintage it sounds super rare, right? And then the half crown might have a mintage of, let's say, a few 100,000. I'm not sure again. Yeah,
6,000 something
in 46.
Yeah,
the business strike.
No, sorry, 11,030.
Just John.
Like
I mean, I'm
something
going to test. I'm going to throw random years at him here.
I'm
going to throw random years at him here, and he's going to tell me the vintage figure.
We have a catalogue for a reason. We've got a catalogue for a reason. It is 11,388.
Wow. Okay, so now it's easy to compare this, right? So I can say a 46 half crown in proof is 150 mintage, and a 46 half crown in normal business strike is 11,388. So because of that, you're going to say, okay, the proof is way more rare. But what you need to understand is the proof was made for collectors. That means that 150, some of them might be PF details, but most of them are going to be pretty good, kept in boxes over the years. They're graded, they're pretty nice. The mint state business strike ones, they were not supposed to be collected. They went out into circulation. So because of that, what you really need to compare is how many of the 46 half crowns have graded even AU 58, MS 61, 62, 63, in this case a 65. And you'll find that is way more rare number-wise compared to that 150 in proof. So again, it's a mistake in numismatics very often. If you look at the value here, look at the Hearn value in proof is 6,000 Rand, and Unk it's 5,000 Rand. And that, for me, that's a mistake. And I think there's many things like that where we have to, the same with when it comes to the 59 crown. I think it's 950 of them that were minted in proof. But for the business strike, you're looking at just a few thousand. It's more, but if you look at how many have graded MS 60, 61, 62, you'll find that number is way less, and that is more difficult to find. So I would argue mint state coins, very, very underrated, especially in the 1940s, 1945, 48, 1950 mint state
even
coins.
your 2 shillings and your lower denominations, it really does get difficult to get mint state coins. And as a collector, I think there's an opportunity at the moment to get those coins if you understand how those things work. But it does make it a lot of fun. Obviously, I've said that I collect the 2.5 shillings, but I mean, the MS of any 2.5 shilling is also just as brilliant for me to start collecting. So a lot of angles you can use when collecting.
So if you guys are a fan of John and you want to help his journey of getting proof 2.5 shillings, sell it to him at half price. He won't complain.
That last signature. Looking back now, there was that 1931 2.5 proof shilling, and I looked at the final bid I did put in. I'm like, listen, do I have to sell a kidney here? Like, I'm falling away with this thing. I've got a problem. So thankfully I missed that one.
But
in trouble.
That's the thing is I know a lot of senior numismatists and collectors often argue that wait for the coin to come to you.
Yes.
But there's certain coins that you don't know how long you have to wait. I think 31 in proof. There's a few of them, but if you're a real collector, are you willing to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years to get something, or do you want it now? I think about the single 9 that went on sale, on Heritage. One of one coin. If you don't buy it, when might you ever, if ever, have an opportunity again? And there are coins like that. I mean, who knew a Remembrance Day Kruger Rand with a trumpet as the privy mark, and they only minted 50 of them. Have you seen that before? It's on the next signature auction. But when are you going to have a chance where it's an international, full proof set with the Kruger Rands that was released overseas, never supposed to come to South Africa? There's only 50 of them ever minted. It's on there. If you don't buy it, when are you going to get it again? We look at the V Day Kruger Rand. Only 25 of them were minted. We saw a few of them. It might be years and years before we see another one. But the other argument is you might feel really bad if you pay a lot for something and then next week you see it at half the price, right? So it goes both ways. And And it's not an easy answer.
It's not an easy answer, but it comes back again. I think what's made it nice and simple for me is I've said, okay, I'm collecting the 2.5 shillings. And once you've got that distinguished line you're going, then it's easy to say no to certain things that do get your attention. Because trust me, when you scroll through an auction, oh my goodness, everything's calling out to you like, listen, you want to buy it. So, I mean, one thing on the next signature I'm looking at is that Lot 1, I believe, 1923, fully graded improved.
Well, you get a 2.5 shilling there.
Yeah, there's a 2.5 shilling there, but I mean, when will you see that again? All graded by MGC.
Good grades too.
Good grades too. You've got instead of looking for them one by one, that's also a beautiful one.
Yeah, I think about recently, so I started collecting the blanks, the third decimal series.
Yeah.
I bragged to everyone in the office about it. And I understand that feeling of hunting something, because it's very easy to get the 1 cent, the 2, the 5, the 10, but once you get, the problem in that is to get a 5 rand blank. So last week I managed to get one, which I'm really happy about. So I completed the series. They're all graded with my provenance on it, and it's on there, John. And that was the difficult one. And if I'm going to be, it's expensive to get a 5 rand blank. Is not cheap, and people don't even know how difficult it is to get that. So then I'll go on to the next thing. I've completed a set of something, and I'll go on to the next one. And I do think that's a good way to collect. Otherwise, you might be a little bit all over the place. But you could collect a few sets at the same time, especially if your goal was only to collect the big 5 in mint state, it might take you years, so it's going to be a bit boring if you don't collect other stuff. And ultimately, it's also a hobby. I know, a lot of people focus on the investment, and we want to make big profit and money. I just see it as fun and a hobby, and I think that comes first before anything else, because there are so many hobbies out there where you'd spend a lot of money and you get an experience, and then that's gone, right? Yeah, you get that experience, that thrill of hunting something, you get that hobby, but you still get that, you get to keep that coin until you eventually want to sell it, and you might, yes, make a profit, but that always shouldn't be the number one thing for me about it.
One thing that I've liked in recent years that has come back into this African numismatic side is the new collectibles, especially with the Krugerrands, the Privy Marks. It's actually something that's become quite desirable, and a lot of guys are starting to chase that, trying to get every year, every Privy Mark. I think it's quite a fun collection to start, because next year there's new coins coming out. You can have them, you can get those, you can want them in certain grades. I think that's a nice way of moving the hobby forward in a new way. What's your opinion on the new collectibles? Because we had the privilege at being at the World Money Fair in Berlin, and my goodness, I think you are just disorientated with the amount of items there. Beautiful coins, limited edition releases at the shows, and I think it would be overbearing for you if you just wanted to start buying there.
Yeah, so for me, I still think the history comes first, and I still think in South African coins, ZAR coins have to be number one, but that's just my opinion, and everyone has a different perspective. So I do think the Silver Kruger series is something that probably would be very good to collect. I think there's quite a few people that want to collect it, people wanting PF70s and realizing how many Privy Marks there have been over the last few years. The Space Ranger Privy Mark on the Silver Kruger Rand is a coin that might be selling for 40,000-50,000 Rand.
Yes.
The Spotted Leopard, there's only 12 of them for the 1 year, graded in a 70. That suddenly becomes, we saw it selling for about 12,000-13,000 Rand not too long ago. So coins that are necessarily a 2,500 Rand coin, but it might be that not many of them grade as 70s. It might be also that there's so many now that it's difficult to get all of them. If you had to go back, think about how expensive it is from 1967 until today to get every year, every Privy Mark of a gold 1 ounce Kruger Rand. It's impossible. No one has a collection of every year. No one. I would be very impressed. I do believe no one has every year in a Kruger Rand improved from 67 until today. It's impossible in gold. I don't think so, because you had to start doing that in the 70s or 80s if you wanted to do that. But with the silver Krugerrands being about 10 or so years old, you still have that opportunity.
You still have that opportunity.
It's very difficult already, but it's still a bit easier. Yeah.
And one thing I'm excited to announce is South Africa Mint got the legal tender status for the African range. It's coming out later this year, which is going to be awesome. We've obviously had the opportunity of looking at that series in Berlin and the coins they are making that side. That's also something this do come at a cost though. They are a bit costly, but they are beautiful.
It's a hobby, John.
It's a hobby. It is a hobby. Yeah, it is a hobby.
If you really want something, I think it's difficult to put a price on it. You know, those Monopoly sets we saw in Berlin, the Czech Mint, we've seen those, and I think they've been going cheap. I mean, a mintage of 10, and you're literally getting them for not that much more than the silver. You know, they're 40 grams. There's so many things. I saw someone in the group also talking about that a few days ago.
But the nice thing that is coming forward with this African Coin Collectors Club, some big announcements coming in the future, and there's a couple of hints coming every week now of announcements. Very, very active group. But obviously the meetups and these things, it really makes it nice. And something that I've taken from my collection is when I'm at an event, a numismatic event, I always try to get a coin. It might not always be the coin that I like to collect. Is
that a clue, John?
No, it's not a clue. It's not a clue. But I always try to get a 2.5 shilling or something that I collect. But at the recent Johannesburg coin show, I got the Big Five, the lion, the silver lion, because it's something to remember the event by. So it's always fun as a hobby, having that, connecting something to the event. Obviously in Berlin, getting that beautiful kookaburra from that was a beautiful one, eh?
Yeah, so there is plans. I saw Thomas also hinting to it. Obviously,
we don't know, guys. We don't
know. The Gauteng meetup might know a thing or two, but I can't tell anyone about it. Can't even tell John about it.
No, you see, he's number 5.
So
number 5.
There is something that's obviously getting planned, and
yes.
Without even knowing, John might have given a clue, but I think it is probably the coolest meetup we're ever going to have in South African numismatics. So even if you're not in Gauteng and you're watching this, you're part of the Coin Club, when this gets announced, you're going to want to be there.
Yeah.
I'm super excited, and I think a lot of people watching are going to ask me questions tomorrow about it. I'm not going to tell you guys anything. You're going to have to wait. The clues are going to get eventually released as time gets closer. And that's the thing about the Coin Club, is there's so many things that are happening and are going to happen that have never happened before in South African numismatics, and that's the challenge of navigating that, but also getting the excitement of it.
Yeah. So if you're part of the Coin Collectors Club, there's also been the fantastic release of the 2nd edition of the Collector's Pulse, which was brilliant. I don't know if you read through that, Landon, but that was amazing to go through, giving you a complete insight to what happened in the month. And I really loved it. Not just that, but what certain coins have gone through for on auction. It's really awesome initiative, and really everything to the benefit of the collectors. What's being put out.
Yeah, and obviously, so what I do understand is that the magazine is going to be a quarterly thing. So every 3 months or so it's going to come out. But then the Collector's Pulse is a monthly newsletter. Yeah. That is going to become out, being released. So, and it's so cool. They even like in the Collector's Pulse even had rankings out of 5. That rating for the different things in numismatics, where it was union coins or bullion. I saw it gave 1.9 to bullion because the price of silver has dropped.
And what I loved about it, it was accurate. It was very accurate because looking at that, obviously looking at the auction house, and then seeing the sale of bullion from the dealers, having those discussions, it was a very tough month actually, especially for silver. It was not at the best of months, so it was right there, 1.9. I think that was a very fair rating for the bullion.
And that's also, whenever we look at something in short term, we might think it's a bad month for silver. But if we just make that graph a bit bigger and look at a year, 2 years, it's been great for silver. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't really as a collector be buying bullion or silver and thinking, oh no, I need to sell it 2-3 months later, so obviously a lot of it with bullion is a long-term thing, and that is a big part of it.
We actually got some questions coming through.
Okay, so see, Thomas said they're impossible for gold, but for silver it's still possible, and that's why that silver Krugerrand collection, with all the different privy marks in MS, in proof, all of those, I think it's one of the best things to collect at the moment. I might be a bit biased. Aside from women who, Anthony Govender gave a comment, he said, aside for women who appeared on coins, there are other women who played important roles in South African numismatics, 100%.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of people before our time, we're still both very far under 50. I'm still very far away from that. You're getting there, John. And there's a lot of people that we obviously didn't meet. Obviously, we have met Sharon Jaffe from City Coin, so obviously never Natalie Jaffe, which obviously I've heard from so many people that's played such a big role in South African numismatics. And there's so many other people, obviously that Anthony is talking about there. Ian says, where can I sell my silver coins or get it valued in Durban? Pressure on you, John.
Oh well, so we got the Durban Coin Show is next on the list, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we must say that the SAN dealers are at the moment just deliberating the date of the event, so that will also be shortly announced.
It's going to be somewhere in July, but I'm not too sure. So there is a Durban Coin Show obviously coming out in July. Also, you will be able to go to the SAN website. They do categorize the different companies by regions. So if you are in KZN, you can look at who obviously is based in KZN. But we do live in the 21st century in many ways, where it's also easy to pop photos to people on WhatsApp. John and I, or so many people, obviously can respond if you guys do want evaluations. You don't necessarily have to go to someone in person. Obviously, the more coins you have, it might be easier sometimes to go in person.
Yeah.
But I think it is possible to get those evaluations. People saying hello in South African coins. Anthony said this. You find the following initials of women who are artists: MG, Mary Gaelic on certain Union coins. HM Hilda Mason. She was the artist for the reverse of the Union Building in the 1965 shilling. That's a pretty nice coin.
And that actually reminds me when we had those discussions with the South African Mint, and they were talking about their designers and the guys doing the engraving. There's one of the women there is also fantastic, and she's also doing fantastic work on she did the Odyssey, if I can be mistaken, so please forgive me, but also has been playing a big role in the Big Five. So that's new numismatics and a great role that she is doing in South African numismatics. Another comment coming through.
Okay, he says here the obverse of the 1965 shilling was done by Mary Gaelic. So two women, NVG and Natanya van Niekerk, winner of the Coin of the Year. I think which Coin of the Year was that, Anthony? Was that the 1997 one that I was speaking about earlier? I'm just trying to see. Coin of the Year. South Africa, we seem to...
South Africa...
It doesn't matter what it is. We just seem to dominate everything. I think we could just get a random coin designed and we might next year win it. I mean, in Berlin, even the gold coin of the year.
No DNA, just RSA, guys. That's who we are, isn't it?
Obviously, guys, if you guys do need evaluations of your coins, you can message us. We can take a look at it, help you guys out. I think what we try to do very much is to try to help people to figure out the best way for their collection. And if it's just bullion, sell it for the bullion. If it's just a collectible, if it's rare, if it's something special, there's many different things involved. So I think we're just trying to get people the best possible service.
Best possible service. And on that note, we've had two fantastic articles come out this week. And when I say fantastic, I mean in the sense of exposure. Unfortunately, the one is rather bitter sad. Discussing the scam of the Mandela 5 Rand and the Ponzi that has run for many, many years. But as bad as it is and upsetting as it is for those things to come to light, it's better that they do come to light. On Netwerk 24.
Yes, I saw that article, and important to remember, your 5 Rand that was worth 5 Rand 10 years ago is still worth 5 Rand 10 years from now. I think we should maybe have a South African Coin Collectors Club t-shirt with a 5 Rand on it and say 5 Rand's only 5 Rand. I don't know. You guys, if any of you are interested in maybe buying some of these t-shirts, maybe we can have some merch going out. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I saw someone said, yeah, 2 rand with the back hump error. I have seen that before, where it's like almost like a cut error on the 2 rand. I've seen it once or twice, but again, not too often. So Anthony says basically the 1965 shilling was done by 2 women, the obverse one and the reverse, another person. That's very cool. Riyad asks about the silver 2 rands. He says stunning coins.
I'm not a collector. I do appreciate them. I actually don't know much of that series, but it is nice. The 2 rands. They all celebrate something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because
You're asking the wrong people. Yeah.
So no, well,
we love the history aspect.
No, that's cool. No. I like it because it commemorates certain things.
Yes,
there's an invention series that's quite nice for the 2 rands. So the thing is, the Kruger Rand in silver has a better name, and probably when you sell it, I mean, if you had a random proof Kruger Rand, or you had those 2 rands in proof that are silver, the Kruger Rand is going to sell for more. Not always. There are a few 90-degree privies.
We're talking about the hobby and collecting.
Yes,
we're not talking about financial.
Yes, but I'm if I compare them financially, you know, if you wanted to save money and you still get an ounce of silver, the 2 rand might be a better buy from that perspective. But long term, to sell it, the Kruger Rand is going to be a lot better to collect. So I'm not telling you what to collect. I think collect both of them. Collect everything. I mean,
okay, let's see what's coming in here. Poncho, for some of us, the coins is a hustle, and well, as a hobby, some of us make a living off it. Truth be told, guys, people are melting the coins for silver, and I'm one of them. Oh, that is actually a very big point, Landon.
All the melting.
The melting. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking to see, and it is a very true reality. And we actually have no idea. You know how funny it would be? All these, obviously I do the 2.5 shillings, there's like this 1944, whatever, it's like 1.9 million of them made, but how many are actually still out there? Eh?
Well, very interestingly, if you had to look at this this book here, and you had to find mintage figures for crowns, or even like, especially the first decimal coin series. So not a lot of people are collecting them. Look at these mintage figures here. You're looking at 12,000, like a 1962 2.5 shilling, 37, 29,000. And when we go to the other ones, even these crowns, look here, 54, 24,000.
That's low.
I'll tell you one thing, if first decimal coins are getting melted at an insane rate, I don't know. I mean, just look at those mintage figures very carefully, but we won't know. Poncho says here, maybe not even getting 10% below spot, you know, on some things. Obviously, if a coin has lost all of its detail, and you know it's a coin that many of them were minted, you probably aren't going to get much more than 10 below. Huh?
Interesting thought is, like, when do we hit the brakes and say, hang on, we don't have any more coins, you know, unless, you know, the ones that have been graded, and you realize actually you actually start seeing that shortage, because at the moment we don't see it. Obviously we're auction house, but we don't see a lot of 2 shillings, 1 shillings coming through the office, except if they're getting melted most of the time. So yeah, a very good point made, that there's not going to be a lot of coins out there for people to collect. You know, it's not something that available.
I think we reach a point where if those coins are a bit more rare than what we think they are, we're going to realize that certain years won't come up to get melted, and then the price will go up, right? For those specific coins over time. But we also have to realize some coins that are silver were minted in the millions, and because of that, they probably will never have a big numismatic value. If they're not in like top pop or high grade. So, you know, ultimately, as Poncho says, even though I might hate people melting coins, it is also that there's a lot of companies that obviously do it, and people have to make a living, you know, and obviously...
Yeah, there's a factor of life that you cannot take out, and obviously you're not going to, when it comes to people's livelihood, you know, we're not there to comment on that.
So Daniel Spies says here, a 1955 5 shilling is becoming a lot more rare because many of them have been melted. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of coins, I mean, if you really had to think about it. 1932 2.5 shilling, that's quite a nice year. It obviously difficult to say the value, hey, we need the condition.
It's one of the.
Yeah, I mean, if you had it on but very often, if you look at that VF value, it's just going to be worth the silver unless it was in a brilliant condition, really.
Yeah.
Winter says, yeah, I just got the 2 rand with the back hump error today. That's very cool. Last week, a 20 cent that seems to be done on a wrong plancher. Also can't find much info. Isn't there a category for these error coins? There's no book for error coins. There is.
You're gonna write one.
Well, I know there is. Richard Smith has done some work into that. But you know how incredible it would have been if, just in the Hearn book, for example, if they just said, yeah, if you had these type of dates, but you had some of these errors, maybe 20%, 50%, or some sort of premium, it might also have made it easier for people to gauge the value of them. But definitely a lot of errors are quite rare. Anthony is trying to test us here. He says, who designed the 2008 Mandela 5 rand coin?
I have no idea.
I mean, Anthony, you probably know the answer, so we're waiting for you.
Well, I'm going to say Mandela because it's his face, so you have to decide on his face.
Yeah, I wonder if it is someone well known or if it's just like, yeah, that is quite interesting. Anthony, we're patiently waiting for the answer. Pancho says, yeah, where could we sell coins? Obviously, refinery or Sangs. Sangs obviously grades coins, they don't buy them. So if you do have silver coins, Pancho, in a better condition, that could also increase the value. You know, I mean, you know, you're saying that you're selling a lot of the silver below spot or around there. If there's a few rare dates in there, it will obviously be worth to grade it, and you will also be getting more money for it. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think error coins, I have a soft spot for it. I actually think error coins are way cooler than many other things in South African numismatics. And also when you talk about rarity, we've seen some error coins that we might never see again. You know, I think the pregnant springbok is a very famous one. We saw the mule coin with Namibian and South African coin on the 2 sides. We've seen so many cool errors that might be like less than 5, less than 10 of them that exist. It's a woman who designed the 5 rand. But Anthony, what's the name though? What's the name?
Winnie Mandela.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left here, John, until the
weekend wonder. This has been an interesting discussion in where I think we've actually highlighted there hasn't been a lot of talk about patterns and about error coins in South African numismatics, and I think it's a point that can be researched a bit more. Maybe interesting to go down that rabbit hole, because also what we have on the signature coming up is that beautiful medallion, which I've never seen before. That big medallion with from Paul Kruger. Medallion's also something special, and obviously that is falling into medallion and military collecting, but also very, very interesting. As Landon's quickly having a look at how does it look on the weekend wonder.
Yeah, you're talking about some of these tonight. There's some big ones there. We've got
there are some nice points.
1874 ZAR 2 pence pattern, the Cape of Good Hope pattern, the 1890 Griquatown penny is on there. That 1793 Russian 5-cop top pop coin is a big coin. It's a monster tonight.
It is a monster.
That's a proper coin. Lot 26. If you guys don't know foreign coins, we gave you a tip. Maybe bid on that one. 93 pennies on there. 94 penny and red brown BN. Some beautiful grades. I do think the coin of the night tonight, John. Some 44 proofs are very nice. It's got to be that half pont. What do you think? 1892 double shaft half pond MS64, guys. Only 7 coins have ever. Look at that, John.
That's
only 7 coins. That's lot 61 tonight. That's my coin of the night. Single shaft pont XF45 is a massive coin.
It's still pretty cheap in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe get bidding. It's only around spot, guys. I mean, maybe get bidding on that one.
That's a beauty.
Some nice banknotes. There's those Southwest African banknotes are quite special.
I would still say these patterns on here.
Those are coins of the night.
I wouldn't say they're coins of the night, but something really not to look over. Really not to look over is the patterns. Please do look over the proof 2.5 shilling. Skip that one, guys.
John's hoping if you guys don't bid on that. No. Well, look here, a 54 crown tonight, lot number 6, PF66. That is massive coin. That one of the best examples remaining of that. This is a proper auction tonight. Looking forward to it. Obviously, also do remember the next Weekend Wonder, which is Weekend 1 and 91, is also live on the app. So that's obviously next week at 7 o'clock. And if you look through that auction, there's quite a few coins from the Sergeant collection that's there. This is quite impressive. Also some patterns on there. 93 Pont is on there. Oh, this is proper.
As we come to the end of Coinversations episode 3, we'll be live. We'll hopefully be live every Sunday evening, and we've got some exciting things planned up. Some interviews, having some guests on. So please leave comments if you want to have a specialist on and discuss something in more depth.
Yeah, tell us who you want us to talk to. I mean, we've got a list of people that we've been in contact with, and we want to get them on the show. So we will be doing. Obviously, we'll have a Sunday night episode.
Yes.
Some of those talks we'll obviously also post with a few people, and hopefully we can get some people that are the biggest people in South African numismatics, and I'm sure we will be getting them on. And if someone's an expert on something, we can get them. I think about so many people that are experts in immense notes, which is a very underrated hobby thing to collect today. The Feldpont, we've got Feldpont experts,
Yes.
we've got Aerocoin experts, we've got access to some of the biggest collectors in the country, the biggest dealers in the country, the biggest private mints in the country, and even the biggest mint in the country in the
Yes.
SA Mint.
Yeah.
So we're going to have some really special things coming up in the next month or two with some of those interviews also. And obviously, we are the #1 numismatic podcast in the country.
So what's really been awesome about when we spoke to these people is that everyone's bursting at the seam to share their story, to share their experiences and their knowledge. So really, it's going to be some really high valuable information, stories that have not seen the light of day for many years or has been publicly announced. And it will all be happening here at Coinversations. So it's a great honor for us to be able to facilitate those people when they do come. So you want to close off for us there, Landon?
Well,
We still have to get the theme song, eh?
Yeah. Coinversations! Something like that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you guys obviously enjoy the Weekend Wonder coming up. And a big week ahead, obviously, South African numismatics news, maybe some clues coming out about that Gauteng meetup, which will eventually happen soon. And thanks for everyone watching and all the comments. And hopefully we'll continue and see you guys again next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. Happy Mother's Day for all the women, and we'll see you next Sunday. Looks good.
Coinversations.